What's good everyone, it's Kajani with a crafting and gathering guide that will go over all things new with crafting and gathering in patch 7.2. This is going to include crafting macros, the new things to craft, where to find the new legendary mats, and an overview of the quality of life updates. Everything is in chapters, so feel free to hop to whatever section you feel will help you out the most. With every patch, we get new crafted glamour items. First, we have the cyberpunk inspired neon street gear. This looks something out of the Vanguard dungeon if I'm being honest, so I imagine this is going to be quite popular. They also released the bouncer glamour that you see here. Although I don't have confirmation yet, my crafter sense tells me that the crafting materials to craft either of these sets will drop from treasure map dungeons. The other notable new item to craft are the weapons of sanctifying light. These are the new crafted primal weapons based on the weapons that drop from Crystal Mom Extreme. 7.2 introduced the Innovator gear set, which is new left side Scrip Gear for crafting and gathering classes. The set is item level 720 and perfect if you are fresh to 100 or if you want to craft or gather on a budget. For the accessories, you will either have to purchase or craft the various Black Star accessories. Together with the accessories, you will be able to craft the endgame recipes as well as gather from endgame gathering nodes. There is now a feature that lets you batch select materials by quality. You can do so by clicking the NQ for normal quality or HQ for high quality. So when I click the HQ, it selects all the high quality materials in my inventory. Or you can do the same thing with normal quality, just click the NQ and it selects all the normal quality items in your inventory. From here, you can adjust the quantities of the type of material that you actually want to use. This is really convenient. I give it a 10 out of 10. They adjusted the display mode for actions and traits for Disciple of Hand and Disciple of Land. So let's take a look at Disciple of Hand first. It separates the crafting actions into separate categories for progress, quality, crafting support job actions, and specialist actions. We have a lot of crafting job actions at this point, so this is really helpful to help you figure out what everything does and how they interact. If you haven't already, I would recommend using this to help you customize your crafting hotbars. For Botanist and Miner, it's divided between standard gathering actions and the actions that you would use when gathering collectibles. The collectible job actions are located on the collectible gathering HUD, so I wouldn't recommend moving any of the collectible gathering actions to your hotbar. The change of display mode for fishing is just as helpful as the one for crafting. It separates the job actions into the basics, job actions you can use before casting, the different hooks and lures, the spearfishing job actions, and the other job actions. Using this display, you can learn what the job actions do and how they interact with each other. Overall, this is another good quality of life addition to the game. The new crafting materials that you can purchase with your tomes of heliometry can be purchased from Zircon in Solution 9. These are the materials that will be used to craft the Precraft materials for the crafted raid gear and weapons, while the dichromatic compound will be used to craft tinctures. If you have any tomes of aesthetics, you can head over to Mordona to exchange them for tomes of heliometry. The exchange rate is 4-to-1, so if you cap your tomes of aesthetics, you'll walk away with 500 tomes of heliometry. Here are the new crafting materials that you can gather from legendary nodes. The minimum perception to gather at these nodes is 4740. The breakpoints are also listed here as well. With the high tier melding, you'll reach a majority of these breakpoints. I like to use Garland Bell to track the new legendary nodes. It's honestly my go-to because all you need to do is click on the list view, then 7.0, then you're good to start gathering. However, if you want, I also have this Teamcraft alarm group in the description of the video, as well as alarms that you can use inside of the game. To the left, you'll find the names of the new gathering materials. Here you'll see the timers and you'll see like when a node will be active. If you see it in blue, this is the node that is currently active, and to determine the location, you can click on the See on Map and it'll bring up the map location, and then you can see like, you know, where the closest aetheryte is. The new Master Recipe 12 books can be purchased from the Script Exchange. Each book will cost 1,200 purple scrips, so you'll need 9,600 purple scrips for all 8 books. After you've purchased them, to access the master recipes, just open up your crafting HUD, go to level-based recipes, and there you'll find the new master recipes. Here are my stats and melds before any buffs that I will be using in the upcoming crafting macros. This is the high tier melding that is provided by the balance. The upcoming macros should also work if you're using the mid tier melding. Alright, let's go over the crafting macro that can craft the new gem saps as well as the new pre-craft materials. For this crafting macro, all I'm using is high quality Rroneek steak. The other 2 icons are just related to spirit bonding, so let's get started. The crafting macro is going to start off in the progress phase with a muscle memory, and then a manipulation, and then a veneration. Then we're going to follow that up with a waste not 2. Because this is a 35 durability recipe, we use waste not 2 and manipulation to conserve durability. Now I have the muscle memory and then the veneration. Together they're going to buff this next groundwork. So I'm going to use groundwork here. Then the crafting macro is going to use 2 delicate synthesis. That's going to take advantage of these last 2 steps of veneration to increase progress, while also increasing quality and giving us 2 stacks of inner quiet going into our quality phase. So now let's officially set up the quality phase by using innovation. Since we have 2 steps of manipulation and 4 steps of waste not 2, together they're going to help us save durability over these next 4 preparatory touches. So here's the first one, second preparatory touch, third, and then now the 4th one. Alright, now we are basically out of durability, but we still have a ways to go. So we're going to use Master's Mend to restore durability. Then we're going to use Great Strides. Then we're going to use Innovation. Together they're going to buff the quality increase of this next preparatory touch. We're pretty much good to go here. So now we're going to set up the quality finisher, Great Strides along with Innovation. We got a good, but that wouldn't have mattered anyway. We still would have gotten 100%. So let's go ahead and use Beer God's Blessing. See that 100% bar. Now careful synthesis. We're done. The crafting macro for the 9,000 difficulty recipes can craft the ceremonial raid gear, accessories, weapons, as well as the new raid food and potions. To make sure that you get 100% high quality, or at least very close to it, I do recommend using at least 2 high quality materials. If you're using the mid-tier melding, you may have to use 3. Based on the gear that I've crafted thus far, if you're using the high tier melding, I believe having a starting high quality of at least 3,000 will get you 100% every time. In order for the 9,000 difficulty crafting macro to work, you will have to use high quality ceviche and high quality cunning tizan. Alright, let's go over the steps of the 9,000 difficulty crafting macro. I am going to start to select enough high quality materials to get over 3,000 starting quality, and by doing so, I should have a high quality piece of gear by the time the crafting macro ends. So let's go over the steps. The crafting macro is going to start with the reflect. That's going to give us 2 steps of inner quiet to start the craft. We're going to take advantage of that. We're going to use an innovation, a prudent touch to increase quality while also saving durability. Next, we're going to use the quality combo of basic touch, then standard touch, and then advanced touch. When you use these in order, it actually reduces the cost of the next job action to 18. So this increases quality while also saving us CP. Alright, so now we have 6 stacks of inner quiet, but now the crafting macro is going to increase progress, starting with a veneration, which is going to buff this next groundwork, which is going to leave us with 5 durability. So next we're going to use Immaculate Mend, which is going to restore all the durability of the craft. Then, to take advantage of these last 2 steps of veneration, we're going to use groundwork to increase progress, then a prudent synthesis to also increase progress while conserving durability. We're going to switch back now to increasing quality, starting with an innovation, then a delicate synthesis, which increases both progress and quality. We have 3 steps of innovation left, so what we're going to do is our 1, 2, 3 quality combo of basic touch, standard touch, and then advanced touch. That's going to leave us with 5 durability, so we're going to use our friend Immaculate Mend again to restore all the durability of the craft. Now we're going to use Great Strides, then Innovation. Together they're going to buff the increase to quality for this next preparatory touch. Alright, so then we're going to use preparatory touch. We are pretty close to finishing up the craft, so before we do, we're going to use Trained Finesse, which increases quality to no cost of durability. So Trained Finesse, and we should be good now. So we're going to set up our finisher. Great Strides and the Innovation are going to buff our Beer God's Blessing. If we only use 2 high quality mats, we would probably be in the same spot as well, but go ahead and experiment and do what's best for you. All that's left now is to finish up the craft, so we're going to use a Trained Perfection, which reduces durability loss to 0, so it's basically like a free turn. Then we're going to use Veneration, and then that's going to buff our next 3 groundworks. So here's the first one, and no durability loss right there. Here's the second one, and then here's the last one, and we are done.